Hi YouTubers, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm taking a look at the Loyal scaffolding which I bought. It's been standing outside now for about a year. I replaced some of those windows up there with it, and then the winter came and I went inside and was working on the house inside, and now the sun is out again, the weather's picking up, it's looking nice warm days. I'm back outside taking down my gutter. When I got this it was bright and shiny like a new penny, but now it's been out in the rain for quite a few months and the shine's come off. It looks quite dull now. That doesn't bother me at all, but it's just an observation. I'll show you around. As you can see, it stands on these feet. There's two sets of these feet, there and there, and on the back there's a couple of wheels. The idea being that you can tip this scaffolding towards you and wheel it. Right, well, the first thing that becomes apparent when you start using this scaffolding is it's difficult to move. Whatever they show you on the videos and in the images and pictures and so on, that's all fine and dandy if your ground that you're moving it on is absolutely flat. Then you can tip it and you can wheel it. The problem is though, when you tip it, you have to tip it quite far in order to get those wheels on the ground, because they are about 3/4 of an inch off the ground, which translates into quite a sharp angle. This has to come over at the top, probably 4 feet, something like that, in order to get those wheels to make contact. Now, on a ground like this, where you've got cement on one side and you've got grass on the other, and the grass is all over the place, I suspect most people working on a house are going to come up with this sort of arrangement. It's not easy to move, you can't really tip it, and if you do, the ground is unstable, which means that the scaffolding is likely to tip away from the house. But when I move it, I leave the outriggers in place, at least these two on the outside, so if it does tip, the bottom of the outrigger would contact the ground and stop it from tipping too far, so I wouldn't lose control of it. But to be honest, what I do is I've been dragging it, just put it very gently, just keeping an eye on these aluminium cross braces here. I don't know how strong those are, but the whole weight actually is resting on these here. There's a space here, so the entire weight of the scaffolding is resting on the outer feet, which means that this bar here takes the entire weight. It's not particularly thick aluminium, but it seems quite lightweight, the same as this. Anyway, it seems to work. I guess these bolts and this reinforced piece here probably help, but there you go. I wouldn't say it inspires confidence. I've managed to move it on my own. I've taken it from that end of the house to here. Now, what's it like to mount this thing? Well, it's easy to get up it. The trap doors open quite well. They close with a resounding bang, but that's okay. And when you're at the top, without the outriggers, it's wobbly. With the outriggers, and I use 4 whenever I can, it's a lot more secure. I always tie it off. Just under the gutter, there's an eyelet, and I tie the scaffolding to that. You can see them there. Every sort of 4 or 5 feet I put one. And I tie both ends of the scaffolding to the eyelet, and I found that really takes out 80% of the movement. Probably could do the same off a ladder, but standing on a ladder is very tiring on the legs, the sole of the feet, the knees, and quite often the back. The nice thing about this is you can move around, so it's definitely a plus. It's more difficult to move than the ladder, so there's your trade-off right there. The other thing I found useful is to tie some ropes. There's one there. It's just a small rope, and I tie my buckets on the end of that, and I can haul up a bucket. And I can lower down the guttering when I've removed it. And I'm going to put another one on there today, so I've got 2 ropes. When I'm setting up the outrigger, what I do is I lock up the top one, I rest the thing on the floor there, and then I come back to this, and then I just lift this about an inch, which applies a little bit of pressure down there so that it doesn't slip, and tighten it up. Just hand tight, don't over tighten it, they're not going anywhere. You can see that's good and firm, see? I'm wobbling this about and it's not moving. The welding on the ladder rungs doesn't go all the way around, which leaves this bit here unwelded. I don't know whether that's a problem. I suspect not. They must have tested all these things, but I would think water probably could get in there. But this is aluminium, and I assume the welds are aluminium, so I don't suspect that it will rust. The rubber feet don't contact the floor squarely, which is something else that concerned me when I first bought it. I thought it might be better if they'd angled those feet to get a flatter, more surface area on the floor or the ground. That wouldn't have been difficult to do, but they didn't. What would have been better if there was some way to jack this up on 4 wheels so that you could move it and then lower it down when you get to the new location. Something like that would have made a world of difference. The floor panels here, you can flip those around so you can have the access trap on this side or the other side. You can take these hooks, just flip them back like that so they're out of the way. You can do this lock here. This just pulls back or pushes up, and then you can release this side, offer this side up to the next rung, push it through to give yourself clearance for this end, which then you seat on the next rung, drop it down, place those catches, and then you can snap this into place on this end. So you can move the stuff around quite easily.